Good evening and good afternoon, everybody, depending where you are across these United States. I am RC Samo, the founder and editor-in-chief of Fanboy Nation, welcoming everyone to our exciting visual fireside chat in celebration of the new film, The Way, written and directed by Dastan Khalili. The Way will hold its theatrical red carpet premiere on Friday, November 12th at the Music Hall Lumiere Cinema in Beverly Hills, and will run there through November 18th. Joining us today are Dastan Khalili and some of the film stars who will briefly introduce before getting into our discussion. At the end of the panel, we'll have a short Q&A, so viewers, please get your questions in ready. I am pleased to introduce our panel, beginning first with Dastan Khalili. Is an award-winning, critically acclaimed director known for his feature film Insomnia Maniac and documentaries Earth Turns to Gold and Making of a Dream. He began his film career in 1995 after graduating with a Bachelor's of Arts from Pomona University Theater Academy. Dastan has a wide range of directing experience, including features, educational films, music videos, theater, and so much more. Let's take a look at his latest film, The Way, and then we'll get a chance to say hello to Dastan.
I'm just saying, respect.
Am I not a killer?
Kill shot Jane.
Strip down.
May the Lord's justice be done.
You'll die here in this prison.
Oh, me!
I will never be pure. Intention is the key. Time, space, this reality are all malleable.
You will not die. We are getting out of here.
You're gonna have to kill people.
Me!
This is Kill Shot Jane!
Whew, that's an intense introduction. Dastan, how are you?
How are you, RC? Thank you for having me.
Listen, anytime I get to chat with another Iranian, I'm more than thrilled.
Fantastic, brother.
Yeah, well, congratulations on this, but we got a couple of more introductions before we go full blown. Eli Jane, an old acquaintance of mine, born in Michigan, was a competitive gymnast and diver in her youth, and as a teenager became a model, was a runner-up in 17 Magazine's cover model contest. She was then featured on the Oprah Winfrey Show as an up-and-coming star, and at 18, Eli moved to Los Angeles and became the first model for Von Dutch. She then began her career in TV and film and produced roles as an actress and stunt woman, appearing in hundreds of music videos, national commercials, and television projects. Eli, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Can't complain. I get to see you again, and unfortunately, this time it's not in person, but hey, at least we get to chat, right?
Exactly.
Perfect. And also from the Bay Area, like myself, right across the Bay Bridge, Joan Wong is the niece of Kung Fu master Wong Jack Man, who was best known for his controversial duel with Bruce Lee in 1964. Joan has studied with East-West Players, the Groundlings, Meisner Technique, and is an alumnus of the Beverly Hills Playhouse. Joan also trained in boxing and in Wushu Kung Fu. She's been seen in Arliss, Rock Me Baby, Monk, The Closer. Listen, we only got 40 minutes here. Touch, Pet Friendly with Whitney Cummings, and so much more. How are you, Joan?
I'm doing great. Hello, everybody.
And our newest friend, Lorenzo Antonucci, who's from 107th and Jamaica Way in Brooklyn. That's got to be in the profile. If you're from one of the 5 boroughs, you got to list your cross streets. Now, we just got to tease him a little bit as a series regular in the hit Amazon Prime series Paradise City, starring Bella Thorne, Cameron Boyce, We've also seen it. He's also been an executive producer. We've seen him in Game of Thrones and Ballers on HBO alongside Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Lorenzo, you've been in Days of Our Lives and have starred in the controversial TV movie Cracker. You've got so much going on. You've done some pro wrestling. You've been in a metal band. How you doing today?
I'm fabulous. How are you? Thank you
Listen.
for having me.
What's that?
I said, thank you for having me. I'm fabulous.
I'm glad that all of you were able to make it. The Way is a fantastic, almost, how do I put this without giving too much away, a redemptive metaphysical film. Would that be the right way to describe it, Dastan?
Line for it.
Yeah, I think that's a very beautiful, succinct way to express it.
I read in previous interviews that it took you 2 years to get from pen to production, and the world falling apart didn't help much with that. But what was the original script that you theorized in comparison to the final product that came about on shooting day? And how much did the script change in that time period?
I went through a lot of transformations, RC. I mean, initially it was just a concept based on reading a short novelette by Victor Hugo, following a documentary, my last feature, Master, that I made, and just started really meditating on this idea of what is capital punishment, being in prison, and then what if you develop some kind of a practice that gives you a transcendent experience, and then slowly as those elements came together, spending many hours meditating, contemplating, writing. 20 drafts later, we were ready to go.
Just 20. You kept it. That's okay.
Well, that was for pre-production. Of course, when we started going into production and rehearsing with these amazing actors, we would do more writing, more development, more creativity, more discovery. Even while shooting, it was a fluid thing.
Yeah, so it was never being married to the written word on the page.
No, not at all.
Joan, you are a CSUN alum. You're also from the Bay Area. You're from Oakland. I'm from San Francisco. You have a prestigious lineage, not only in the martial arts, but also being of East Asian ancestry, growing up in the Bay Area. And in the Bay, we have a unique perspective on life in comparison to not just the rest of the country, but LA as well. How much of that Bay Area lifestyle and that cross-culturalism that we both grew up with crossed over into your acting?
Well, as you know, the Bay Area and San Francisco, I would like to say it's actually Oakland and San Francisco that I grew up in. So, being from San Francisco and Oakland, there's a lot of influence from the Chinese culture. So, I felt like having that culture around me really helped me with my Cantonese. So, I'm fluent in Cantonese. And to just understand where I'm from.
And Eli, we've met a couple of times before. We've had our interactions. This is a heavier story than we're used to, and I'm glad to see you take the lead role in this. What was your preparation like, other than being in the makeup chair for so long, to add all these extra tattoos onto your body?
My preparation was life. I think I brought a lot of kind of what happened in my life, or at least how I felt. And I was able to draw on a lot of my life experience. And I think when I got onto the project, I was so living in that world of like trying to be that good person and living this like, not holier life, but just like a more divine life, if that's a word, that would be suitable for this. But yeah, I mean, I was scared that I wouldn't be able to dive back into that drug addict in me and my history, and that's a history. And I didn't think I'd be able to go there, and it turns out I kind of got there and I stayed there. And that was one of the things that Dastan even said to me, is like, "Are you going to be able to go there and come out?" And I was like, "Yeah, totally." And so it was also really therapeutic in a lot of ways, to kind of go back into my past and to have this growth and different divine life that I have now, and to just kind of see how it all intertwined. And I was able to go, okay, that's exactly why I am the way I am today, and I'm okay with it. And yeah, Yeah.
Well, we're glad you came out the other side for the better.
Yeah, yeah. And I had great I mean, I did boxing. We did so much pre-production on this, so I was able to train with a boxer for 2 months, which was amazing, and we had rehearsals, so I really got to know everyone. I felt comfortable. It was my first real lead in a film, and to be able to use my stunts was, just like it was like my inner child, coming back out as a gymnast. I would rehearse all these, gymnastics moves, and then to be able to kind of do that in the craft that I love and that yeah, it was such a blessing.
Right, but you're 5'7", so at some point, once you hit more than 5'4", gymnastics doesn't, cut it anymore.
Yeah, then I went to cheerleading, and then I was like the stoner cheerleader.
Right, from 2 tumbles off the platform now to the stoner cheerleader. All right.
Yeah, to doing, mushrooms, doing back handsprings and falling on my head.
Well, let's hope there aren't too many concussion repercussions at that point.
Well, that's what helped me be crazy, I guess. Just kidding.
And Lorenzo, you're usually the big baddie in a lot of the films that you've worked in and productions you've been a part of, but you're kind of a big softie as well, man. Like, how do you find the balance between, the big ruffian, bad guy in most films to now being who you are on your downtime?
I mean, just the culture I grew up with, just like, if you come from a good family, you're a good man. If you're a good man, but you have that inner demon in you, and it's in everybody. If it's pulled from you a lot in different aspects of your life, then you know how to pull from it when you want to portray a character. That's how I look at it, because it was just, this character, I think, was an interesting character. That's why I did it, and I love the name, and I love the way that Dastan wanted to, approach him. And I never played a character like it, so I wanted to, jump in there and be very devious and, in a way menacing, but at the same time manipulative and very evil for my own gain. And I think I pulled it off.
You did, man. You really did. Yeah. Now, Dastan, I have to go back to you as well. We both have Iranian ancestry. Me on my father's side, and I believe you're full. My mother's Lebanese, but
No, my mother's actually Scotch Irish.
oh, Scotch Irish. Okay, so we're both half Iranian on our paternal side.
That's right.
We usually have 5 career paths in the Middle East. It's some form of science, law, engineering, at least the tolerable one, business, and then the one that you and I went into at this point was, shame of the family, the arts. That's the running joke behind it. But what's it like being an Iranian, half Scotch Irish, and going into the arts? Because Celtic people, like Persian people, have a sense of humor even in the darkness that we still pull from. Yet, more than likely your father's like, why don't you go become an engineer?
Yeah, it's interesting. Both my parents my father, God rest his soul, passed away 12 years ago, but both my parents were architects and very, very successful. And I was raised as an architect, actually. I was doing drafting and working in a major office at 13 years old. But I was a very restless person, and sitting behind a desk was just not going to work. And when I got into the theater, man, I was like, dude, I'm all about this. However, on my mother's side, my grandmother and then my great-grandmother, they were in the theater, vaudevillians, in the silent film. So from that side of the family, there was a tremendous support for it. It took my father a while to come around. He was like, architecture, architecture. But when I finished my first feature and I showed it to him, he was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Keep going. Interestingly enough, though, I run an architectural nonprofit called Cal Earth at this time, where we do teach people natural building and do charity work as far as disaster relief. So both lanes kind of stayed.
Wow. So you were able to cross the two over?
Yes, exactly. And in a way, making movies is very much like architecture. The script is the blueprint. You got to build it, you got to create it. People have to experience it. You need teamwork to make it happen. So I was able to bring along the Persian side of the family to finally be like, okay, you know what you're doing. Keep going, man.
That's when they can finally be proud of you, is when they see the final product.
Exactly.
Before that, why are you wasting your time? And then all of a sudden it comes out and they like it. Like, all right, you're on the right track.
Exactly.
Yeah. Joan, you mentioned you speak Cantonese and you were able to continue on with your linguistics as well, growing up in San Francisco and Oakland, and that's your primary dialect. When you have a Chinese audience see your work, or at least try to engage you, like some of us that have been here for a generation or two, when like we talk to people that have recently come over, there's certain phrases that are considered like old, or not modern in speaking. Does that happen to you as well in Cantonese when you meet people that are recently immigrated?
Not really. I feel like that I'm pretty fluent for someone that's been born and raised here. So when I do speak it, they're really impressed that am able to speak it. So I don't know. I don't think I've really run into any problems as far as that. But I don't know.
Uh,
Slangs from like Hong Kong or something. It's like,
right,
oh,
colloquialisms.
what?
Yeah.
I always have to ask my mom, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Right, colloquialisms and things of that sort. Formal versus conversational.
Yeah.
Lorenzo, I got to ask you this. You put this on your Instagram. You met Ricky Martin at the gym and you showed him a picture of yourself in a Menudo t-shirt.
Correct.
Yeah. Take us back to the Menudo fascination and the love of 80s Puerto Rican pop music. And were you a kid that was into freestyle as well, or just
Absolutely. I'm still into freestyle. I'll listen to freestyle every day just to put me in a good mood. My mom took me to my first Menudo concert at Madison Square Garden, where I bought that shirt and I got lost. I remember I was crying. I was like 5 or 6 years old, and my mom couldn't find me. I was lost in the crowd. I still remember it vividly, like where I was trying to find her and she couldn't find me. It felt like a movie. It's total flashback. Yeah, and I remember the concert, and I remember having my Menudo blankets and pillowcases as a kid. But then moving forward to you know seeing Ricky Martin blow up and do what he did, you know what I mean? Like that was always a inspiration for me. But seeing him at the gym a few times and then meeting him and talking to him and then actually showing him the picture, and he was taken back by it and he was like, wow, that's so cool. And it was nice to talk to him. It was just like, like one of those moments where I met Ricky Martin and I was able to connect with him on a level that not many probably do every day, like showing him something from 40 years ago, and he remembered the shirt clearly and he was bugging out about it. Yeah, that was cool.
And he's like, that's the poster that's in my living room still hanging up, is the one that's on that shirt.
I don't know. It was kind of, I don't think if it was an album cover. It was just like a picture of the group and the shirt. I don't know if I could pull it up right now. It's hard for me to find, but it's so distorted. But you could just tell by the way it looks. You could recognize it if you knew the shirt.
Right. Yeah. Eli, from model to actress, and continue moving forward. We met about a year ago at the start of the pandemic on one of your film sets, and here we are chatting again. What's it like for you to continuously be working during the pandemic and dealing with the safety protocols? Because we're going to get back to Dastan and find out about all the protocols that went on with this set.
Well, interestingly enough, I had taken a break from entertainment. And then because of COVID, I was able to conquer one of my fears, which was to go back to school. I had this crazy drawn up thing that I was terrible at it. And COVID really helped me, force me to do something different, to pivot. So I went back to school for acting. And that's how I started booking these lead roles. So it's interesting because a lot of the lead roles that I've done have been in the middle of the pandemic. So I kind of don't know, I don't know much different. So, showing up to set and even continually as I'm working on other shows, you just have to plan for that, you know. This was the only film that I actually got pricked with blood. I was like, you're taking my blood? Wow. I could go 1,000 places with that. But yeah, no, I mean, I think it's just become a part of life. Even my son goes every Tuesday to LA Unified and gets his nose picked. So I like to just go and think that it's free, and every once in a while I need a good nose picking. So
Who would have ever thought that somebody else picking your nose in public is going to be a commonplace
it's
situation?
so strange. It's like you bring your face diaper down and you're like, here's my nose. But it's just a part of life now, I don't know. I don't think any different of it because I've just kind of gotten acclimated to it, to be honest.
Now, Dastan, you spoke with a good friend of mine, Steve from Bionic Buzz, a couple of weeks ago, and you were talking about safety protocols and getting everybody ready for the film. And apparently, you're going to clone Eli at this point with the blood work that you're doing and everybody else. So if things go wrong, at least when the sequel comes, we got a clone ready made. Take us through the other safety precautions and things that needed to happen for the way to be made and produced in the middle of the world falling apart.
It was a really, really challenging situation because we shot September, October, and shutdown happened basically March, June. And it was so new. There was no vaccine. Everybody's going in the store with the mask and the gloves and the spray, and everything has to be wiped down. And like 5 weeks before we started, the white pages basically came out, the first protocols, the union protocols of what we had to do. And there was just one PAs dedicated on set just to constantly spraying stuff, wiping down. There has to be circulation. Everybody has to wear masks. You have to get PCR tests every 2 days. You got to get pricked every single day. We had to have our own COVID compliance team. And, my producers, we were all talking about, do we want to do this? And I was like, absolutely, let's do this. Because the whole industry was shut down. We were, one of just a few productions going. And having grown up in a revolution and a war and watching my father and my parents overcome super extreme adversity and thrive, I kind of had that in me. Like, we can do this. Of course, there was like multiple situations where we almost got shut down as a result. Entire schedules had to be changed because one person felt that, am I sick? I don't know. And then, we got to reschedule everything. And they went to a doctor. Oh no, it was just allergies. But the concentric repercussions were so intense as a result of that. But we transcended. We came in a day early and we knocked the heck out of it. And really, I attribute that to all the pre-production and the preparation and my actors showing up and all the conversations we had and all the rehearsals we had and all the conversations with the camera department and production department, so that when we showed up, it was really a fine-tuned engine. And we overcame, because making a movie is very difficult, but overcoming it in that really put it in a whole different level.
Now, is it more difficult making a narrative feature or a documentary?
So narrative feature, definitely. Documentary is there's more space with documentaries, less expensive to reshoot, more room. In my personal experience, a narrative feature, the price tag is so high and the window is so small that, especially in the indie space, that you really need to be lose a lot of sleep and recover later.
Joan, your lineage in the martial arts, from the legacy of your uncle and your family, and wushu being a part of that, along with playing a qigong master in this film, and who's tried to find her character, at least, or your character at least, tried to find her own inner peace even after committing the crimes that she has. How significant is the martial of the arts, and then the arts of the martial arts in your life as a person and in your performances?
I just felt that the martial arts part, I mean, growing up, I didn't really do that much martial arts. I was very fortunate enough that I did train very, very little with my uncle, but which is something I really, really regret growing up. That I know my aunt is watching me, so I'm getting a little emotional because, but it was something that I really regretted. Um, Not really training fully committed with my uncle, and I took it for granted. Um, but I was very grateful that I got to grow up with him and be around him, and he was a big influence, I think, because I loved martial arts. I really, really did. I loved martial arts, and but I didn't take it serious because I was not disciplined. Believe it or not, I was not disciplined until I got older, and then I realized, oh, now I live in LA. I can't train with my uncle, but then um, I took it serious, and then I started training with a master here in LA, which he was also amazing. Um, I just wanted to say also my aunt who's here, she's watching me, so I wanted to say hi, Aunt Sally. Um, um, but having that background training, I just felt like it did help. But then it was really coming down to the character that Dastan wrote, and I just totally felt my uncle's presence during this whole filming. So I think that also helped me with the character. And so it wasn't really like, oh, was it the martial arts that made my character? No, it wasn't. It was the writing.
And please, Aunt Sally, don't get mad at me for making your niece cry. It was unintentional.
I didn't even expect that, but yeah,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you
we
cry.
just
Now I
we
feel like
just
really
missed
guilty.
him. We just miss him. That's all.
Lorenzo, you're acting. You've done some pro wrestling. You've toured with a thrash metal band. The big question on the end for you is that going from live performance to now having to wait for delayed gratification. As Dastan said, this was filmed in September, October. We have to go through the editing process, reshoot process, and then finally getting a release date nearly a year later, if not a little bit more after all the final reshoots. How nerve-wracking is it to go from playing a guitar riff and a stadium cheering and going wild in a pit to now, all right, are people going to like this once it's out?
I mean, it's just like recording a record. You got to go record a record and write the music, and it's kind of like writing a script. You got to write it. You got to do demos, kind of pre-production, and it's very similar. And then you got to go record it, and then hopefully you have a street date when it drops, and master it and mix it. Very similar to post-production. The gratification of being on stage is nothing like I would say that what it's like to be on stage and playing in front of 10,000 to 25,000 people, which I was blessed to do one time with my mom standing on stage. God rest her soul. She was watching me play when we played in Jersey 2 nights in a row on Ozfest. That was a gratifying, feeling when the people know who you are and they're chanting and they love you and blah blah blah. But I think the same feeling you get from a great take and everybody claps after you guys cut, you know, or the movie's a year later and everybody loves it, and people love say your performance was awesome, and and they mean it. So I think that it's very similar because it's just art. It's like painting something until it's done and then it's sold and it's becomes a legendary piece. It's pretty much the same anticipation, I would say. I'm used to waiting. Believe me.
I got you. This question is for everybody. We're going to go one by one. Dastan, Eli, Joan, and Lorenzo. I recently interviewed a sociologist who did a study on spirituality and religion and people reconnecting during trying times. And this is a very metaphysical film. Was there a point during the pandemic itself that you reconnected with the spiritual aspect of your life or were seeking spirituality? And if so, how did you go about rediscovering it or discovering it, since this film is so metaphysical in its beginnings?
Well, RC, for me, it's kind of been my way of life for quite a long time, especially like Qigong practice and things of that nature. And what motivated me was a desire to share that the compression and the intensity of the pandemic and shooting a film and kind of gave me the opportunity to really live the practice, and then express it through the work. And that was very profound because we can all preach and say, oh, when, do this or do that or be spiritual or pray, but when the pressure comes, when the rubber hits the road, then you really know if what you practice has value. And for me, this process definitely deepened that.
Eli, I know you're a mother. Let's add that aspect to it. If this affected you, especially with having a child as well who's in the school system.
Sure. First of all, Lorenzo, that music helped you with your stage, because I'm still a little nervous on these things. You're so comfortable. Part of me wishes I was in a band, man. So I love this question so much, because I talked about divinity, but really I was talking about, higher power, and without, some of the audience completely cringing. For me, as an ex-drug addict, I had to learn a whole new brainwashing tactic, and I had to go completely the other way, and I had to rely on something higher than me, whether it's like an ocean or whatever it is. It's just, it has a plan, it has a purpose. And that's helped me a lot in every aspect of my life. And I constantly need to be reminded that I'm not in charge. I can only do the footwork, and then the rest is up to the universe. I like to call it a universe. Part of me thinks I'm talking about Star Wars a lot, but it's something greater, and it has a higher purpose. And yeah, that's been a saving grace for me. And that's really ultimately what I was talking about, is that, living a life to a higher purpose, to help others, to I'm not trying to be a saint. I'm just trying to work with the universe and trying to give back. I owe a lot of amends from all my drinking and using. And I need to make that up in other ways. And, perhaps just by talking about it in this conversation, it could help someone. I don't know, but having a higher power really helped me. In so many different ways, even just looking at the ocean and going, I can't control how that ocean is coming and that moment it's coming and how fast it's coming. And something is controlling that ocean. And it's been a saving grace for me, especially during the pandemic, and also with raising a child. He has his own higher power. So yeah, it's a very big, important element. And thank you so much for bringing it up. Another reminder of why I'm so grateful to do this film.
We'll come back to Joan in a moment. We're going to go to Lorenzo with the same question first. About the metaphysical and spiritual aspects of life and recovery through the pandemic.
Well, interesting. The pandemic, I felt like my mom died 17 years ago in a car crash. So I felt like she was really there for me the entire time, because I don't know, everything started moving for me. Like everything that's been slow and burn, like a slow burn for me during the pandemic. I mean, before the pandemic was, it just started to, accelerate. The foot was on the gas pedal really hard. During the pandemic, I started really moving. Things started really happening for me that I've been working on. And, I would say I'm very spiritual, because I just started doing the float tank. You start floating in these things with like 2,000 pounds of salt. And I was talking to my mom and my grandma, because it was so quiet. And I was just talking to them, and I was with them, and they were with me. I don't care what anybody says. I'm definitely spiritual. I love connecting with, my family that I've lost. And I lost a lot of dear friends because of drug use. And, in the last 5 years, like some of my best friends, which I based a character on that Paradise City show that we were talking about. One of my Paulie Antoniani, he passed away from fentanyl, unfortunately, and he was only 35. So I connect with him. I talk with him, yeah, I respect that. And this is definitely. I always said that this film kind of reminded me of Dead Man Walking meets Million Dollar Baby kind of a vibe,
Mhm.
and that's what connected me to this. And the character was well written. So you know, yeah, that's my spiritual moment.
And Joan?
I actually don't personally think I'm a very spiritual person, but do I believe in God and is there spirituality? Sure. I definitely believe um, there is something that connects us all together. And why Dastan wrote this and I happened to audition for this role. And um, just from the moment actually that Dastan told or picked me for this character, I felt from the beginning to the end of this filming, as I was mentioned earlier, that I felt my uncle's presence. I felt that he was with us during the rehearsals, during training, and even during filming. So whether he really was with us, which I like to believe, I just feel like even my father was watching me. So um, is that spirituality? I guess, but definitely.
It seems all of us on this panel have had a great tragedy at some point. Dastan and I both lost our fathers 12 years ago. Lorenzo, his mother, 19 years ago. Joan, in your situation, Eli as well. So it's a redemptive story in the film, but it also seems like a redemptive story for the cast in finding yourselves during the production. What was the shooting schedule like with all of this? Because it is pandemic, it is an independent film. There are time constraints and there are safety issues, or at least health safety issues, that we have to worry about while making this film.
Yeah, it was quite a challenge to schedule it, but we had one thing going for us is that we spent a great deal of time in a very isolated place and shot in an isolated location in a prison in Lancaster. So because we were able to kind of pod like that, it allowed more flexibility. However, the safety issues were really paramount, and I have to really give a nod to my producers and my first AD, not only around the COVID testing, but also the use of weapons, because there are weapons in this film, and we all know about the recent tragedy. But the protocol on our set was very, very extreme. Everything was checked before it showed up on set. When it was showed up on set, it was called out. Then the weapon check was done again with the actors present in front of them so that they could all see it before the weapon was handed to them. I mean, the safety protocol for making a film, especially in the indie space, is supremely important. It's good to be quick. You have to get it done. But if something bad happens, there is no going back, and you just do not want that to happen. So it's better to take the little bit of extra time, make it right, take care of everybody. And then in the final product, the payoff is there and everybody feels safe and taken care of.
If we touch upon that just a little bit more, Dastan, I hope that's okay with you. With what happened in New Mexico, and you mentioned the safety precautions and the checking and the rechecking and continuation of that. And New Mexico was a very sad situation, just the way it went. What are some of the extra levels of safety protocols that you take? Because I know with firearms, you're supposed to treat it as if it's loaded, even if 100% for sure it's not. You have to take that 0.2% chance that it might be.
Yeah, that's a really important point. And when it comes to firearm safety, one can never be too careful. Being a owner myself and having gone through training and classes and learning about it, and naturally checking it, but also the set is a family, and there is a hierarchy to that. And when a firearm shows up on set and people call out cold gun, hot gun, blanks, things of that nature, armorers have checked it. It is still important to pull one more layer, to have the first AD or the second AD or somebody there with the talent, with the performer, going through it, looking at it. Even if you have to step off, do a couple of test fires of the blanks, which I've done on other productions as well. This is very key. because the reality is accidents happen. You are flying, man, and you are setting up shots and everybody's running around doing their thing. But if you take that pause, that 20-second, that 60-second, that 1 minute pause and make sure that that happens, that really creates an atmosphere of safety and it does lift the set. So that's kind of my general approach as a filmmaker, always safety first.
Right. And we're going to open the floor up for the Q&A chat and the portion. Chats are coming in. I mentioned him earlier in this, as you've spoken with him, Dastan. My good friend Steve Sievers from Bionic Buzz is asking, did all the cast try out for the film via Zoom, since the way everything's been going these days?
Yes. And then we had the opportunity also, because it was in the beginning, we were able to, once the protocols were allowed, to go into a casting session if people wanted to, doing temperature checks. And then when it really came down to the final, I asked for meetings outside, not necessarily auditions, but just conversations to finalize the decision. But it was quite an interesting challenge casting off of Zoom. I mean, hundreds of auditions just like this, man. It was from both sides. I'm sure it was a quite a journey.
But on the bright side, it's the new whole self-tape fashion in vogue aspect of it, where you don't have to go in for the audition. You have to go in for the table read, or at least the interaction between the characters. Joan, a question has come in for you. Do you feel the industry is becoming more diversified in recent years with regard to Asian American actors and actresses, stereotypes and casting?
Absolutely. I definitely feel the difference. I've been in this industry for a really long time. So seeing the characters and roles that are coming in now I'm just so excited and to see the diversity all around, whether I'm Asian or even Filipino, and now it's like distinguished. Oh, it's specific. It must be Japanese or it has to be Korean. I love seeing that. So yeah, and as far as like stereotypes, it's another great thing. I don't have to speak with a accent or something. Actually, for my audition, I auditioned with an accent because I just assumed that this character was with an accent. And during in the middle of rehearsals, Dastan was like, "Let's lose the accent." So I was like, "Really? Okay, all right, let's do this."
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Whenever I see Asian listed, I remember that Dastan and I are excluded from that because we're from the western part of the continent and we don't count. So Asia's a big place, people. It goes from Turkey
It
to
is.
Indonesia. So
It is. It's really big.
but we have to have a little bit of fun with that. But I'm glad that's going around. A question for Eli has come in. Eli, you work as a producer, actress, model, and stunt woman, many hats. What is your preferred role?
To be busy. I love acting, and I've come from the commercial music video world, so TV, film, acting. But if that means producing and acting, my goal is to do like 5 good features a year. If that's lead or whatever, that's kind of my goal, is to continue acting with TV and film.
And Lorenzo, here's one. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but who knows what the universe has in store? I don't know.
Just go with the flow is what you're saying at this point.
It's just like, keep me busy. My kid's out of the house, like I got 2 kids out of the house. I'm ready to go, people. No, I'm just kidding.
So Eli's trying to be an empty nester sooner than later because she just wants to work. I get it. Yeah. Lorenzo, this one came in for you. Lorenzo, it seems as if you have a slew of projects coming out starring alongside Bruce Willis. Is this a coincidence? How did you like working with him?
I've become, very friendly with him. He's actually really, really a great guy. I've done 4 movies with Bruce, and ones with Bruce and John Travolta and Steven Dorff, and then ones with Bruce and John Malkovich and Michael Rooker. And then there's one that we just shot in we're shooting a trilogy right now for just Lionsgate, and it's I believe that we shot the first feature, and now we got to go shoot the next two in Vancouver. I'm blessed. I mean, he's still Bruce Willis. It's way, no matter what, he's still like, he still stops everybody, stops and wants to talk to him and still be around them. And it's just like the star power is just, unreal how, and what a great guy he is. And his team is awesome. Love all his guys. They treat me like family. They are family. I got 4 features coming out back to back. One, the trailer's out now. It's called Deadlock. That was called Reactor at one time, but that's with Patrick Muldoon and Matthew Marsden and Bruce Willis. That one, the trailer looks awesome. Actually, it really looks good. And I play a redneck cop. And I play a cop on a lot of these, and all mercenaries. So, very stereotypical of me, but it's different character elements in there. So yeah, there's a lot coming out. I'm pumped. It's definitely
I dig
awesome.
it, man. And for the rest of the panel, besides The Way, can you tell us about any other upcoming projects that you have?
Yeah, we just shot one. The Free Fall's coming out in January. We just announced. I'm not sure about the date, but that one we shot in 2019, and that's with Andrea Lando and Sean Ashmore, myself, and Mark Center. That's like a reverse exorcism. It's a really cool movie. That's a horror. And then I shot with the same producer, one of my brothers, Shawnee. I shot another one called Trim Season, which is we shot that in Salt Lake. And we actually are releasing the comic book as well. We just announced it at Comic-Con, and I'm a partner in the publishing company. It's one of I'm an owner in it. That we published Night of the Cadillacs and Trim Season, which Night of the Cadillacs is vampire gangs. It's like Warriors meets Lost Boys, and we're shooting that in 2022. That one's sick. The reaction's been great. Project. I'm packaging my movie called Sworn Enemy right now. There's a lot. Shooting a movie called Black Helmet soon with Zach Merck. Wow. And then everything that's coming out is pretty much what I actually shot Jersey Bread with Chris Tardio and Gino Caffarelli. It's a modern day mob movie in Jersey. It's called, it's about like Asbury Park mob. It's super modern day, written and directed by Greg Russo. We did that. It's awesome. I think we knocked it out of the park with like our own Mean Streets. That one's, I'm the second lead. Me and Chris Tardio from The Sopranos and Ray Donovan. You ever seen him? He's awesome. He was also in that movie. I'm blanking on a name. The 9/11 movie with Michael Keaton on Netflix.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Worth. So he plays opposite Michael Keaton in that. He's awesome. So he plays my crazy. I'm the crazy cousin that just comes out of jail. And Sonny Marinelli plays my uncle. Sonny Marinelli, shout out to Sonny. He plays my Uncle Sal, and he was big character on Entourage. What else is coming out? Man, it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm blessed. That's all I can say.
Is anybody else not sleeping besides Lorenzo, or is he the only insomniac?
As I said, I had to take a nap. I'm not even playing. Shit is crazy right now. I got a cosmetic company about to launch. I'm like, shit is crazy right now. I'm just like, I'm blessed. Thank God.
In 6 months, we're going to hear that Lorenzo's opening up for Stevie B at some point, and he's putting like late 80s, early 90s freestyle dance moves together for a show.
Stevie B lives in Vegas.
Yeah.
I love
it. It's a 3.5-hour drive, man.
Yeah, man. Freestyle is the best.
For everybody on the panel, what advice would you give to a budding filmmaker?
I don't know if you wanted me to
go ahead.
see.
Yes, please go ahead.
So as far as projects, I have like 3 projects, but I can't talk about them. So they'll be released later. But the one that I can talk about is going to be on Hulu. It's a Von Dutch documentary. It's my son's dad and I and his partner. I don't know how big it's going to be or anything, but I just know it's airing on the 18th and it's going to be on Hulu.
Joan?
Oh, geez, I don't know how to follow after Lorenzo. Goodness.
I need a nap from all the
I know.
work he's
I'm like,
doing.
yeah, I need a nap too. It's like, um, not as much as Lorenzo as I would love to, but I just recently worked with one of the writers from Fresh Off the Boat. He also did Aquafina North from Queens. So I recently just worked with him on his short film project, which I believe, is hoping to either turn into a feature film or a series. So fingers crossed. I don't know.
All right, Dastan, besides designing a couple of buildings that I know that you got in your back pocket, what are you working on art-wise?
So the way we're like you said, we're doing our limited theatrical next week, and then January 4th it's going to come out everywhere, basically on VOD on demand. Be available. I'm actually on the third draft of the next feature, and I'm going to be going in development here probably end of November, December, and really stoked about it. Really fascinating, interesting story. It's about two women on the road who fall in with a gang of thieves, and I'll just leave it at that.
And so, set visit. When can I show up? No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
No, you're invited, dude. Done.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to be that guy that's going to
you
invite
get your
himself.
PCR test.
Yeah, of course. I'll come with my own Q-tip, just both of them stuck
Bring
on.
your own COVID kit.
And my own
We
gas
want
mask
blood.
and everything else. No, he's gonna stick me, and then I'm gonna have to like bleed all over the place. That's not gonna be fun. Yeah, no, I'm teasing. But congratulations on the way. It's having its limited release, and it's opening night November 12th here in Los Angeles. I am so excited for all of you. We just got to remind everybody, Friday, November 12th at the Music Hall Lumiere Cinema in Beverly Hills, and it will run through November 18th. The Way is a fantastic, metaphysical, spiritual, martial arts, redemptive film. Everybody, it's been a great pleasure chatting with all of you. I can't wait to meet you all again face to face. Well, Eli, I've known face to face, but everybody else in person. Joan, I at least owe you dinner for making you cry, because I don't want to get on Aunt Sally's bad side. So
I'll take it. I'll take it.
all right.
Why aren't you coming to the premiere?
What's that? I can't make the premiere, unfortunately. I'm helping coach my friend's wrestling team. They got a tournament starting Saturday, so we got to help the little kiddos out too.
I get it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Thank you
man,
so much.
that's your perfect opening to meet everybody in the cast.
I know, man. I know, but you
out,
make a
RC.
promise, you got to stick with it too.
No, I
That's
get it.
true.
Yeah.
We're only teasing.
Thank you so much,
I was
brother.
gonna say you need to bring your PCR
Thank you,
test.
everyone.
Yeah.
You got it. Oh, everyone, make sure you have those that are attending on the 12th. Have your negative COVID test and follow LA County protocols, because I would tell you what they are, but they're going to change in the next 5 hours. So just be safe, everyone.
No, they just changed right now.
Yeah, see? Click, click, click. That's it. 3 more changes.
Blood.
Thank
We
you,
want blood
everybody.
from everyone.
So along with Eli's Von Dutch documentary, we're going to be sitting there and creating a vampire spinoff.
Yeah.
Of thieves.
Yeah.
Vampire thieves.
Vampire thieves. All right, I dig it. See?
You
That's
go.
not. She's writing the sequel for the next project already. Vampire
Perfect.
thieves going
I'll
involved.
take it. Done.
But everybody, thank you so much for your time. Again, November 12th, Los Angeles is going to be a great time. And everyone, enjoy the weekend and enjoy the time together.
Thank you, RC.
Thank you. Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you
us.
guys. Have a good day. See you on Friday.
Oh, I feel so bad for making Joan cry.
No, don't. I wasn't